I like listening to old music. I like listening to old tunes because it reminds you of that time, even if you weren't actually there in person. Because if I play music from the 70s or the 60s, uh, it's a given that I wasn't there. I was born in 1989. But when I listen to that music, I'm able to catch the drift of those vibes from those days. Obviously, it's impossible to actually be like, "Hey, I remember those days" if you actually weren't there. But I feel like I can sort of catch on that wavelength, and I like it. You know, for instance, the music you're listening to right now in the background, I think it gives you that lofi, laid back, or just like old time sort of feeling. And I'm sure at that time when they were listening to it, they probably thought, "Hey, uh, this is the new jam. This is what we're jamming to now." I can't I don't understand. I mean, I couldn't tell you where they would actually play this, whether it be in a ballroom or in a bar or in a family get together. I found this on this very interesting website. It's called archive.org, and they have audios and videos without that I believe can be used for creative common purposes as long as you're not using it for commercial reasons, and they're in public domain. So I figured, hey, why not? Like let's go back to some of the old school music, play that in the background, and let people catch the kind of vibes that I think I want to bring to this channel. Because nowadays, the kind of music we listen to is, I was watching a documentary once from a producer, and I'm sure as soon as I say his name, you're gonna remember him or you're gonna recognize what I'm speaking about. And he was talking about how depending on what kind of bass lines or what kind of auto tunes that they put into a music, they're able to hit different chakras in individuals. So if they want to play a music that is for the club, they might try to target a specific chakra. And if they're trying to play some kind of music that's supposed to uh, connect with you on a different level, maybe they will use some other frequency. And I thought, sure, but that to me seems like it seems a little unnecessary, right? Like it's almost predetermined. It's like, well, I want people to feel this, and I know it works, so I'm gonna do that. And I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong, but I don't want I don't want a song to like. I know songs are supposed to make you feel a certain way, but I want each song to. It's hard to put it into words, but what I'm really trying to say is that I don't think I want the composer or the producer to know how he's gonna influence me if I listen to that music. If that makes sense, like I want it to be, I want it to be unique. And if the same song is having the same kind of influence on a number of people, then I feel like it's no longer unique because we're all feeling the same sort of way, right? Because they've somehow figured out the mechanics behind it. Um, Anyways, that's enough of that. Had a crazy day, you know, and again, it goes back to just being comfortable with not really knowing what's gonna happen. I mean, if everything was so predetermined, if you want to connect the two dots between this topic and that, then if everything was predetermined and we knew exactly how each scenario is gonna play, and I think it would become boring. I think the fun lies in not knowing what's going to happen, and obviously it doesn't feel like fun when you're actually in that moment. But if you already knew how that moment was going to end, ask yourself this: would you still be able to partake in it the way you currently do? If you knew exactly what this podcast was about, or this vlog was about, would you really be listening to it with the same kind of interest as you would if you had no idea where this was going to go? And the same goes to me, right? Because I have no idea what I want to discuss here. So yeah, being comfortable with the uncertainties, being comfortable with not knowing when this thing is going to stop. Over the news, they're talking about a new strain of COVID-19, right? And that's a given. For people who don't know this, it's a given. Whenever you are dealing with a smart organism, right, whether it's viral or bacterial, and in the long run, antibiotics and antivirals, all they really do is they increase the strength of that organism if it's smart enough to become resistant to that particular medicine. Like, oh, you're gonna hit me with this kind of antibiotic. Well, guess what? I'm gonna learn a mechanism to not die from this antibiotic, right? And so that's happening right now around the world. They said that UK has just come up with a new strain of COVID-19. And I don't know how that's going to impact the rest of the world, but it's scary. Because clearly, one thing is for sure, we're not dealing with just like a lame, oh, I don't know how to deal with this situation type of virus. It seems like this virus is very well evolved. And if it is, and it is, then we have to be able to outsmart it before it outsmarts us. Without turning this into a monopoly of whose vaccine is really going to get approved first and who's going to make more money off of it. Because I guarantee you that's what's going on in the background while all these politics are being played out. Um, so that's that. And then guess who ends up becoming the guinea pigs? I was thinking about it the other day, and I realized that so the first people who are the people who are on the front line, who are actually putting their lives at risk, saving the rest of the population in whichever country that they're working for. Guess what? Like, it sounds noble to say that the first individuals who get first priority or the first dibs on these vaccines are going to be healthcare workers. But like, ask yourself this, like, you don't know how this vaccine is going to be, and so it's almost like, voluntarily or non-voluntarily, these people are becoming or going to become the guinea pigs, because they're going to have to be administered that vaccine. You're not going to be the only nurse in the ICU saying, hey, you know what, I'm not really comfortable with that vaccine. Oh, well, but the rest of the people are taking it, so I might as well as well. I don't know what the side effects are, but what I'm saying is, these are the people that are putting their lives at risk. I think we need to treat them with more respect and perhaps even be more considerate rather than just saying, you're gonna find out what this is really about. And then after that is the after that is the older, the senior people who, um, without being too rude, don't have that many years to live, right? Before it ever comes to anybody who really matters, almost, you know. Um, and that those are the people that probably are going to benefit and profit the most from these vaccines. That's how I feel. I'm entitled to my opinion. That's how I feel. Um, anyways, you know, um, these are strange times, and and it's always a monopoly, right? So I'm just going to use this platform to share with you my thoughts. Obviously, open to any kind of discussions, and let's just try to connect with each other. That being said, I hope you liked it. If not, that's totally fine. Because I didn't have an agenda to begin with. I'm gonna end it there. Have a good one. Stay safe. This is Ankit from Go Unified. Peace.